morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Huddle Hub Podcast. My name is Metal Mike, and today we are going to run down Week 11 of the NFL coming up. We currently have a game in progress. The Miami Dolphins are taking on the Washington Commanders. Dolphins are up 6-3 right now, mid-second quarter. We're also going to run down the records and milestones that could be met and broken this week. We're going to talk about some of the news coming out of football. We're going to run down Week 12 of the college football season, and we will run down the college football playoff projection. Before we get into that, please make sure that after the show, you head over to all the Huddle Hub Podcast social medias, over on the X, TikTok, and on YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod, on the Twitch channel at the Huddle Hub Podcast. Over on the YouTube, you got to hit the subscribe button. That's how you follow over on the YouTube. It would be greatly appreciated if you go do that and help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast going through the 2025 season and beyond. It is windy here today. You guys will probably hear some noise coming through the microphone. This is a pretty good microphone. This microphone does cancel out noise most of the time. But when it is super windy out the way it is today, there's just no denying or keeping the wind away from coming through the microphone. This happened to me on Wednesday night during the boom over on Rivet City Radio and Off the Top Media with Cam and Phil. It was a very windy Wednesday night as we were talking about AEW Dynamite. And, it just didn't matter. Can't stop the wind from happening. But when the room that you work in it gets very warm, you got to have a window open. A fan just does not cut it. And the cool air from outside kind of helps keep you cool during shows. But I get cold very easily. Never used to be like that. But the past 10 years, it just started getting cold very easily. If it's not 75 degrees or above, I'm cold. And that's that, But inside heat can get very dry sometimes. And it can get very, very bad. So, but you guys are going to probably hear some wind today. That's probably going to happen. So it's all good, though. It's all good, though. Not stopping us from being here, not stopping us from doing the show. So let's get into the very first subject, and that is the college football playoff projection. Okay. Now, me and John talked about this on Tuesday. We are going to go over this on Selection Sunday. Okay. But I'm going to say this. I looked at this playoff projection, and I was very intrigued by this playoff projection because you look at this thing as it sits, and this was before yesterday happened. If you pay attention to college football, because I know there's some football fans out there that just pay attention to college, and there's some football fans out there that just pay attention to the NFL. And there are some football fans out there that just pay attention to the UFL. There's very few fans. I have only ran into probably not even a handful of fans that just pay attention to the UFL. If they pay attention to the UFL, then 9 times out of 10, they're paying attention to the NFL. But, there's some fans just like one thing, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's the form of football you like and you love, so be it. Be a fan of it. Who cares? Don't let anybody discourage you if you're a fan of just one thing. It's fine. But I went through this the other day, okay, and I seen this, and I knew that this was probably going to change, in the next couple days after yesterday. But I was I was very intrigued when I looked at this, because you go back to the playoffs last year, Ohio State was there. A couple of these teams were not in the playoffs last year because they were not good enough to make it. But seeing the turnaround of some of these teams to get to this point, to get into this playoff, and even with an Alabama loss yesterday, Alabama is probably going to still be in this thing. They're probably going to be seated, 11 or 10. That's probably where they're going to be. But some of these teams just intrigue me. South Florida. We see Vanderbilt the past couple weeks pop in and out of this thing. Miami's still alive, even in their losses, keeping themselves up there afloat, going from number 2 down to number 11, and just staying in that position. And I said it, I think that Miami is slightly stronger than Ohio State. Now, Miami going out and losing the games they did doesn't help my statement, but do I think Miami could possibly go in and still beat Ohio State? Kinda. That thought changed after the 2 Miami losses. But there's one team in particular that I've been very, very high on, and I'm not the biggest fan of them. I never was. And that is Alabama. But their defense has done nothing but impress me this year. I watch Alabama games just for that defense. Other than that, would you catch me watching an Alabama game? If it wasn't a game that was really important, no. But I'll flip on an Alabama game to watch that defense, because that defense, even after losing yesterday, is amazing. You got to remember, they only lost to Oklahoma by 2 points. I think it was 2 points, 1 point. I have the score written down. I do. I just don't have that page on yet. It's 2 points, 23-21. Okay? 2 points. So it's not like Oklahoma went in there and just completely annihilated Alabama or took them out. They just beat them by 2 points. So do I still think this Alabama team is strong enough to go in and and take on and stand toe-to-toe with an Ohio State team? Yeah, I do. But Ohio State at the end of the day is just showing that they want to repeat. And I guess we could pose the question of, if Alabama's in the national championship game come January 19th, I know some people will sit and say, oh, if I see the same team, I'm not watching it. Are you watching it? I'm watching it. I'm definitely watching it. It's the national title game. You want to watch the national championship get given to the team that wins. You want to watch that. You want to see that. You want to see that history made. And if Ohio State can go in and win and make it back-to-back, great. If Alabama can go in and shut them down, great. But the other thing is, too, is you look at these teams: Indiana, Texas A&M, Georgia, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Oregon, Notre Dame, Texas, Miami, South Florida. Do you think they can go in and stop Ohio State? Do you think one of those teams can go in and stop Alabama? Now, I think Oklahoma will definitely be on this list come Tuesday afternoon when everything gets updated. Because normally the update happens on a Sunday afternoon. The top 25 updates, and we'll get a projected update today. We will. We'll get a projected update at about 3 p.m. We'll get another projected update at 5. And then we'll get another update tomorrow. But the final update, I believe, is at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. Or no, 9 p.m. on Tuesday. Sorry. And me and John run down the top 25 when we go live at 7. So we're going to run down whatever we have in our hands come 7 o'clock. And is that going to change? Yeah, it's gonna. It's going to change because they expect to change it by 9 p.m. We'll be off air an hour already. So whatever we run down on Tuesday is what it's going to be. Because we are at the point where you got to really keep up with what's going on with these rankings and the playoff projection. Now, again, we're not going to make our predictions. We're not going to do anything with the playoffs until Selection Sunday. Until after Selection Sunday. But as of right now, this is how it sits. And then I pose the question, do you think there is a good enough team that's here that can beat Ohio State or Alabama? Do you think Georgia can go in and beat either one of these teams? Do you think Texas A&M, who had literally the biggest comeback in school history yesterday, go in and beat one of these teams? I mean, imagine that, being down. Texas A&M, who was down, I believe it was 30-3 at halftime. 30-3 at halftime. Came back and won 31-30. Biggest comeback in school history. It's crazy. And we've seen comebacks this year. Many of them in the NFL. Denver Broncos in particular, the Houston Texans last week. Big comebacks. But in college football, for a team to come back that way, you got to be a damn good team. And Texas A&M, we've been accused on this show already of sleeping on Texas A&M. We ain't sleeping on them. We're not. We haven't slept on Texas A&M at all this year on this show. But when we pick the teams that we think are going to win, and you look at how the teams that are playing Texas A&M, it's more so saying that we think this team could come in and win, but Texas A&M is a strong team. So it's the expectations of Texas A&M winning, but the spark of belief that a team can go in and beat Texas A&M. So the college football playoff schedule was released as well. First round on December 19th and 20th. The quarterfinals is going to be on December 31st and New Year's Day, January 1st, 2026. The semifinals on January 8th and January 9th, and then the national championship on January 19th, coming from the Miami Gardens in Miami, Florida. So that's the schedule as well for the college football playoff. They got released last week. So there it is. Let's get into the top 25 and the upsets. Yesterday, unranked Navy defeated number 25 Florida 41-38. Unranked Clemson defeated number 19 Louisville 20-19. Unranked Arizona defeated number 22 Cincinnati 30-24, and then 11 Oklahoma defeated number 4 Alabama 23-21. A couple upsets in the college football rankings yesterday. I mean, I'll say this: the 25, the 19, the 22, and the 4 team. I think the team that takes the hit the biggest is Alabama, obviously, because they're going to probably fall to number 10 or 11 in the rankings. I don't see them falling any further. There should be no reason why they fall that far. They're going to be still in this playoff projection, but I think that their seeding is going to switch, and they'll be a lower seed, 10 or 11. That number 12 spot is for a team that goes and wins maybe the American Conference or the ACC. I don't know. Well, no, the ACC champion will be up there. But you guys know what I mean. But you look at the rankings right now, Ohio State, Indiana, both in the Big Ten, 1 and 2 teams. Alabama, who's in the SEC, Georgia in the SEC. Georgia will probably move up to 4. Georgia will definitely break that 5 spot finally. It's been a couple weeks since they've been in that 5 spot. They'll probably break that and go up to number 4 or number 3. I see number 4. They won't get to number 3. But if Georgia doesn't break that number 5, I don't know. Because Georgia, they've been doing pretty good this year. And they've been very under the radar. You don't hear a lot about Georgia. You don't hear a lot about the Bulldogs. You don't. You don't hear a lot about them at all. So Louisville getting beat by Clemson, very surprising. Clemson very much fell this year, which surprised me because I remember them kicking the season off this year and going out and getting a win to start the year off. Great win, but then they just fell off, which really surprised me how bad they fell this year. And then Cincinnati, they keep popping in and out of the top 25. Louisville, they're another team that keeps popping in and out of the top 25. But the one spot in this playoff that really intrigues me is that number 12 spot. Again, South Florida's in there. Vanderbilt was in that spot at one point. And I guess the question is what team really truly deserves being in that 12 spot, earning that chance to get into the playoff and possibly go in and make a run? I think Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, Memphis, South Florida are the 3 teams that I think could deserve an opportunity to go in, be the 12 seed, and try and make a run. You never know what can happen. You never know what can happen. Vanderbilt has gone out and beaten Alabama before last season. Vanderbilt's beaten a lot of teams this year that you didn't expect them to beat. South Florida winning the way they're doing. Memphis, up until 2-3 weeks ago, was undefeated. So the 12 spot is probably the biggest intriguing spot for me because I want to see what team gets that spot to get an opportunity to go into the playoffs and get a shot. So we'll definitely have to wait and see what happens. See what happens. See who gets accepted. Again, the update schedule. I had the update schedule in front of me, and it got away from me. You guys give me a second. I can definitely get the schedule. So the next update for the college football playoff rankings Tuesday, November 11th, between 7 and 8 p.m., which already happened. That was the first update. Okay. Tuesday, November 18th, which is this Tuesday, between 8:30 and 9 p.m. Me and John will be already off air between a half hour and an hour. So, like I said, whatever top 25 we have that's there at 6 p.m. on Tuesday is the top 25 that we are going to be running down on Tuesday night. That's going to be the... I should probably silence that. That's going to be the top 25 that we run down on Tuesday night. So in advance, things might be a little off when we talk about the top 25 and recordings come out. A team may be out of sync because we did before the actual update. Tuesday, November 25th, between 7 and 8 p.m. Tuesday, December 2nd, between 7 and 7:30. So me and John will already be live on Tuesday, December 2nd, when the update happens. And then Sunday, December 7th, Selection Day. 12 to 3 p.m. is Selection Day on Sunday, December 7th. So we will have everything together for the playoff once that time comes. Once Tuesday comes, we'll have that all together for you guys. And we'll be talking fully about the college football playoff once we get to that point. So, all right, guys. 1 second here. So we're going to get into the news of things coming out of the world of football. Before we do so, my co-host here on Sunday mornings, the man with the best beer in the business, Mr. Cam G. Cam, how you doing on this wonderful football Sunday?
I'm doing all right, man.
Good.
I couldn't leave you hanging. Couldn't do it.
I appreciate it, man. But hey, I mean, if you're not feeling good, tired, or anything like that, brother, I'm good. I'm good, bro. I definitely appreciate you, though. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm happy to see you. Definitely happy to see you. We're going to get into the news of things, man. We're going to roll. We're going to get into the news of things going through. We just got done talking about 20 some odd minutes about college football, man. We'll get into this real quick because I want to get your thoughts on this real quick. And then we got to move on. College football, it's getting to the point where we're going to start getting into the playoff projections. We're going to get into the top, Selection Sunday coming up on December 7th, between 12 and 3. And I said it, the most intriguing spot for me is that number 12 spot. I think, a team like South Florida, Vanderbilt, or Memphis could be the team that goes in there and gets an opportunity to run into the playoffs with some of these big teams. What spot intrigues you the most? What team intrigues you the most that you would like to see get into that playoff and maybe have a run, have a shot?
Well, again, I don't think it would be the Huddle Hub if I don't sing the praises of Vanderbilt. Like I said, that's my favorite wild card right now, and I'm just hoping that they can just hang in there, and potentially, make a run in the playoffs. So because they've been one of the most, other than I think probably Ole Miss, I would say, one of the more exciting teams to definitely watch play. Their defense is absolutely insane right now. Pavia has been going crazy this year. So, yeah, no, I would have to say Vanderbilt for sure. If they can hang on, like I said, and make a run, they are definitely would be a fun wild card just to see, get in there. So, yeah.
We got Jax in the chat. What's up, Jax? How's it going? Thank you for joining us here this morning, here on the Sunday morning edition of the Huddle Hub podcast. Definitely appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
I just seen the chat because I had a different window open here, looking at some information that I had. Yeah, Vanderbilt, dude. Vanderbilt very much intrigues me. They do. I think if they get selected on December 7th, they'll get the number 12 spot, which is obvious. They got to win out though. They got to go and win out because South Florida is right on their tails. South Florida coming off the loss against Navy yesterday, it doesn't help their cause, but South Florida is still in that position to where they can sneak in if Vanderbilt loses again. I think that 12th spot is between Vanderbilt, Memphis, and South Florida. Maybe another team like a Louisville, but I would really love to see Vanderbilt get a shot at it. I would. Vanderbilt's that one team. I mean, we've been very high on Vanderbilt here on the Huddle Hub podcast this year. We have been very, very high. All right, man, let's get into the news coming out of the world of football. First things first. As I get my notes together here. All right. So Garrett Wilson, wide receiver of the Jets, he was placed on injured reserve with a knee injury. He's going to miss the minimum of 4 games. Now, Cam, Garrett Wilson was injured for a little bit. He was out for a couple weeks, came back last week, and re-injured himself in their game, in the Jets game last week. He's going to miss another 4 games. I mean, at this point, the Jets, the way the place they're in right now, I mean, Garrett Wilson at this point should probably just take the rest of the year. I mean, the Jets have no shot of winning the AFC East or even making the playoffs. They're done. I mean, they're not going to be officially eliminated if they lose, even their next 3 games. But once we get to like week 15, week 14, I mean, the official elimination is going to be there. So if I was Garrett Wilson, I would probably just take the rest of the year. I would. Come back strong next year in 2026, get yourself healthy, and hopefully they put a team together that can help you start winning some ball games out there in New York. CJ Stroud, quarterback of the Texans, he's going to be out Sunday. His second week in a row, he's going to be out against the Titans. Davis Mills will get the start this week. Davis Mills had a hell of a game last week, man. Hell of a game. I mean, if it wasn't for him, the Texans would not have won that game last week.
No, not at all.
And they make the biggest comeback second biggest comeback in franchise history with a 19-point deficit in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, that Texans team, that I think that woke them up a little bit last week, but I wouldn't say that they're fully back as a team we seen 2 years ago with CJ Stroud. I think they're starting to wake up a little bit. And Davis Mills, being the backup, I mean, when you go from being drafted by a team expected to be the starter, and the next year they go out and draft another quarterback, and they say, you're the guy on the bench now, I mean, you're going to take any opportunity you get. Yeah. So, and I think that works for Jameis Winston out in New York. Jameis Winston's going to be the starter out in New York for the Giants today, as Jackson Dart is in concussion protocol. So yeah, I mean, I think the belief in Russell Wilson has died out in New York. You think?
Oh, it's beyond the point of no return. Yeah, it was really sad to see, Jackson go out in that game against the Bears, because after that, it was just like the Giants fight in that game. Just you physically saw it just wither away. And once he went out. And Russell was he's just not the guy you put in when you're up in a game and in hopes that, I don't know, he salvages or saves the remainder of the game. No, he's just not the guy. So putting Jameis in there, that's interesting, because I really didn't think Jameis was going to see the field at all as a Giant. So interesting.
I had a small sliver of belief he would see the field this year. I did. I had a small sliver, because when the Giants went out and got Russell Wilson, then they drafted Jackson Dart and then picked up Jameis Winston. I was like, we're going to see Jameis at least one time this year. It's going to happen. We got to. It's Jameis Winston. I mean, why not? I mean, somebody's got to go in there and kind of, even out the watch the guy throw 4 touchdowns today.
He might.
I mean,
he just might.
Just my luck picking up the Packers defense today for fantasy. They are projected to be the top scoring defense today because of Jameis Winston being the starter. Just my luck. I'm sitting here saying, watch him throw 4 touchdowns today, opposed to the 4 interceptions that he normally throws. You try and take an inch or try and take a mile, and they just give you an inch. It's what we get. Graham Gano, the kicker of the Giants, he was placed on IR. So the Giants are hurting right now, man. Yes. Jackson Dart in concussion protocol. Cam Scadaboo out for the year. Yeah. Graham Gano, the kicker, is done for at least 4 games.
Malik Neighbors gone for the year.
Malik Neighbors out for the year. I mean, I was talking about this on the pre-show over on the TikTok. I mean, the Giants showing the progression they were showing this year, the improvement that this team was starting to show. They may not have gone out and won enough games to make the playoffs, but to go out and just win enough games to show improvement, you know, it was kind of cool to see. It was cool to see that progression. And, and I said this, yeah, I'm an Eagles fan and I'm always going to root for my team and I'm always going to be happy to watch my team go out and just dominate the division and walk away with it. But at the same time, it's like you want to kind of see that little bit of competitiveness from the other teams. I mean, you don't get tired of seeing your team win the division and go to the playoffs. You don't get tired of that. Never. But it's like the Commanders, who were supposed to show some competitiveness this year. I said it during the offseason. That team there was such a revolving door there. We weren't seeing the same Commanders team from 2024. It wasn't happening. And the Cowboys, they go out and make all these moves, and they still just can't get their stuff together, man. Like, what is happening in Dallas that they go out and get all these good players?
It's always the same answer. It's Jerry Jones.
Yeah,
they do the same thing, expecting a different result. But you have Emperor Palpatine making all of these decisions, and a lot of them are bad decisions, and no one's telling him no. So yeah, that's what happens.
Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver of the Cardinals, he had appendicitis surgery this week. He's going to miss this week, but he will be back next week. He's not expected to miss a lot of time. He's going to need at least 14 days to recover from the surgery, and he'll be back on the field in no time. So Marvin Harrison Jr., quick recovery from appendicitis surgery, and then he'll be back. Another player making their comeback this week is Brock Purdy, quarterback of the 49ers. We're finally going to see him play. Got that turf toe situation figured out. So Brock Purdy back in the lineup for San Francisco. Sam Laporta, tight end of the Lions. He's going to be out for at least 4 games. He was put on IR. So that might be a hurt for the Lions. I mean, Sam Laporta was kind of that backdoor guy.
Yeah.
Because watching the Lions this year, you don't see a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown. You don't see a lot of Jameson Williams. You've seen a lot of Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, running back tight end type of thing when you watch Lions games. But this kind of hurts for them. Sam Laporta being that backdoor, and it hurts for me in fantasy too, man. I have him. And now I got to replace him with Cade Otton or David Njoku. I picked up Noah Fant this week because last time he played Pittsburgh, he had a big game. So decided, you know what, I'll pick Noah Fant up, see what he does. You never know. The Broncos, they've ruled out a couple players this week. Running back J.K. Dobbins, cornerback Patrick Surtain, Alex Singleton, the linebacker, and Jonas Ellis, the linebacker. And it was later announced yesterday that J.K. Dobbins is going to be out for the rest of the season. So a little bit of a hurt there in the Broncos running back situation with Dobbins being out. But Harvey is going to be taking over the running back duties. Maybe this is that brick wall that we were talking about that might hit the Broncos. Slow them down a little bit from these comebacks, man. Yeah. Evan Neal, offensive lineman of the Giants, he's placed on IR. So an offensive lineman from the Giants placed on IR. I feel bad for this New York team at this point. Both New York teams.
If you are just racking up.
If you are a football fan in New York, just become a Bills fan. It's probably your best bet. I'm just saying that right now. That's probably your best bet. Just go more, what is it? More northwest, western New York, northern New York. I mean, they're more towards Canada, so north. Go be a Bills fan. You'll be probably a lot happier. I mean, they can't get over the AFC title hump, but you never know.
Regular season wise, it's better.
It's fun. Yeah, it's a lot more fun. Defensive tackle, the Patriots, Milton Williams. He has a high ankle sprain. He was placed on IR yesterday. Happened in Thursday's game against the Jets. He's going to miss a minimum of 4 games. So a lot of IR players this year. Mecole Hardman, wide receiver. He's a free agent for most of the season. He signed with the Bills. He signed with the practice squad this week, and yesterday was elevated to the 53-man roster. So Mecole Hardman is going to go in and try and help the wide receivers room a little bit. Brandon McManus, kicker of the Packers. He has a quad injury. He's placed on the injured list. He may not play today against the Giants. So the Packers may be relying on, I believe, their punter to be the kicker today against the Giants. I mean, that's you think of it this way: you're going in to play the Giants, who are kind of falling apart right now and dealing with injuries. I mean, is it really going to hurt you to have your punter as your kicker for the day?
No.
Shouldn't.
It shouldn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the key word there. Shouldn't.
Yeah. Last bit of news. Bill Belichick, head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. Now, as we know, Cam, head coach of the Giants, Brian Dable, was fired this past week. There was a lot of rumors escalating around about Bill Belichick making a return to the NFL in 2026, specifically to the New York Giants. Now, Bill Belichick, in an interview this week, shut that down. He said no. As of right now, his NFL days are done. He is enjoying being a college coach, even though North Carolina is just not doing it right now. He's still enjoying being a college head coach. So Bill Belichick, and I thought about this last night, Cam. I'm going to say this right now. I think he's bluffing. I think Belichick's bluffing. You got to think there's a couple openings. The Titans just opened up. They fired their head coach a couple weeks ago. The Giants, I mean, there's a couple head coach openings that are there right now, and there's going to be a couple more that open up in the coming weeks as the season slows down. Team's going to start firing coaches. I think he's bluffing. I think we see Bill Belichick in 2026 back in the NFL. I do. I think this was just a transition to get his kid in place because his son is taking over the North Carolina job once he's done. That's already lined up. I think this was a 1-year transition. I don't know how you feel or what you think about that, but I think it's transition. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, once they put those zeros in his face, I think he's gonna be dying to come back. Because I don't really know what the Tar Heels organization is really thinking so far about Bill Belichick. Again, we already know his struggles out there in North Carolina, so they might want to move on sooner rather than later from Bill Belichick. So, once that happens, I don't think he's going to have much of an option then to go back to the NFL, especially when you have, maybe the Giants and again, like you said, the Titans also vying for head coaches. So, you'd be a fool not to take them up on that offer. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm with you. I definitely think he's bluffing, but I also think it's a money game too. Like, if they just decide to move on from Bill Belichick in North Carolina, then yeah, obviously he's going to be looking for another job. So.
Well, North Carolina is currently 4-6 on the season. They are 2-4 in the ACC. So they're yeah. I think it's transition. I think that's all it is. I think he got his kid set up, and we see him back in the NFL. We do. And there's going to be a couple teams that are going to be looking for what would you do? And I just want to ask you this, being the Pittsburgh fan that you are. What would you do if Mike Tomlin was out and they bring Bill Belichick in? You wouldn't have an intriguing curiosity to see how that goes?
I would definitely be intrigued just to see what happened. I guess it sounds interesting. I don't know if I necessarily would jump the gun and be like, absolutely bring Bill Belichick to Pittsburgh, only because I don't really know what his I guess I haven't seen enough of it. I don't really know what his development is when it comes to developing new young quarterbacks, because I wouldn't want to see that relationship. I wouldn't want to see him as head coach if Rodgers is still starting.
Okay.
I think if they started Will Howard, that would be like the fresh restart we need. New head coach, new starting QB. You know what I mean? And that concerns me because again, like I said, his legacy essentially rides off of one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play this game in Tom Brady. I don't know what I just don't know. I guess I haven't seen enough of it where what can he do with a young rookie quarterback in Will Howard? You know what I mean? So
he drafted Tom Brady.
Fair.
And
Fair.
25 years later, they have 6 rings on their finger together. So, I mean, I know it's a different game nowadays. It is a lot different than things were when Brady got drafted, and things have changed since Brady left New England. So I could see your curiosity. I could, because the game has changed a little bit since then. Even in 2020, it has changed. So it's more so of the newer way of doing things with quarterbacks opposed to the old way, like he did with Tom. Tom, he was able to mold him in a year.
Yeah.
Because Brady got drafted in 2001, and then when Bledsoe went down in 2002 and put Brady in, that was it. That's all she wrote. I mean, they were off to the races. They won the Super Bowl his first year. So Brady's first year being the starter. So, but there's a newer way of doing things now. And I can see your curiosity, because it'd be seeing what he does as far as progression with the newer way of doing things, with progressing quarterbacks nowadays. So we would have to see. Definitely have to see. Be intriguing to see. Let's get into the records and milestones. That's it for the news. That's all we got in the news. We're going to get into the records and milestones that could be broken this year, Cam. So we'll get into the records and milestones. Actually, I think we are set for a 45-second. I believe we are. Yeah, we're set for a 45-second. So we're going to take 45 seconds. We'll be back here on the Huddle Podcast. As I take a deep breath, I forgot that I had a hot mic. Make sure you're heading over to all the Huddle Podcast social medias after the show. Over on the X, the TikTok, and the YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod. On the Twitch channel at the Huddle Hub Podcast. Make sure you're hitting that follow button on the YouTube, hitting that subscribe button. That's how you follow on YouTube. And help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast going through the 2025 season and beyond. It would definitely be appreciated so much. So let's get into the records and milestones that could happen this week, Cam. A lot of the same players we've been seeing on the records and milestone list, Cam. Matthew Stafford's on this list. Davante Adams is on this list. But we also do have a couple new players on the list that could break some records and milestones. So let's kick off with the ones that are already on the list. Matthew Stafford. He could become the third player in NFL history to throw for 4 touchdowns in at least 4 consecutive games in a season. The only other 2 quarterbacks that did that was Peyton Manning and Dan Marino. So if Matthew Stafford throws another 4 touchdowns this week, then he would be the third player in history to throw for 4 touchdowns in 4 consecutive games. It's not an easy feat. I mean, throwing 4 touchdowns in a game, let alone in one game, doing it 4 straight weeks, which is insane. Davante Adams, he is just 1 catch away from becoming the 3rd fastest player to reach 1,000 career catches. The only other 2 players that have done it were Keenan Allen and Andre Johnson. So just imagine that if Davante Adams gets like a screen pass thrown to him, he surpasses. That's it. It could be 1 yard, and he becomes the 3rd fastest to 1,000 receptions in a career. That's insane. Myles Garrett, defensive end of the Browns. He could become the 5th player to record at least 12 sacks in each of his 7 seasons. So every year since he's been in the league, he has recorded 12 or more sacks. Okay. The only other players that have done that, Reggie White, Kevin Green, Bruce Smith, and Leslie O'Neal. That's some good company. Definitely good company, especially Reggie White, man. He was a beast. Jahmyr Gibbs, running back of the Lions. His date of birth is on March 20th, okay? He was born, doesn't say what year he was born. Well, it said the year, but I didn't write it down. Let's say that. He was born on March 20th, okay? He turns 24 on March 20th in 2026. So remember that birthday. He became the 5th player in history to reach 40 touchdowns in his career before turning 24. He could still surpass Jim Brown, who has 42, who had 42 before the age of 24. He could surpass Emmitt Smith, who had 43, Randy Moss, who had 44, and Barry Sanders, who had 47. So Jahmyr Gibbs has 40 touchdowns before the age of 24. And we have a couple weeks left. If he scores 7 more touchdowns this season, he'll be in first place. He'll be the fastest to ever score 40 touchdowns or more before the age of 24. So that's crazy. Crazy to think about that at that age. What's up, Scouts? Thank you for joining us this morning here on the Huddle Podcast. Appreciate you being here. CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver of the Cowboys. He is 1 catch away from surpassing Dez Bryant for 3rd all-time in receptions in Cowboys history. So 1 more catch for Dez Bryant, and he surpasses, or 1 more catch for CeeDee Lamb, and he surpasses Dez Bryant. So same thing with him. Little screen dump pass, bam. Leads the franchise. So Brock Bowers, he's in somewhat of the same situation. He is 2 catches away from passing Sam Laporta, the tight end of the Lions, for most catches by a tight end in his first 2 seasons. So last year, Brock Bowers had 112 catches. Okay. If he catches 2 more, then he will have the most catches by a tight end in the first 2 years. I believe it's like up in the 140s or 150s as far as catches. So that's a lot for a tight end. A lot. Justin Herbert, quarterback of the Chargers. He is 154 yards away from surpassing Dan Marino for 3rd most passing yards in their first 6 seasons. So 154 passing yards by Justin Herbert this week, and he surpasses Dan Marino for 3rd all-time. Baker Mayfield, quarterback of the Bucks. He is 1 touchdown away, either passing or running, to become the 4th number 1 overall pick from the draft with 200 touchdowns in their first 8 seasons. And the person that he would surpass once scoring that touchdown, Josh Allen. So all he has to do is score 1 more touchdown, either in the air or on the ground, and he'll surpass Josh Allen. Christian McCaffrey, he's 6 receptions away from becoming just the 4th running back in history to have 6 75 catch seasons. So imagine that as a running back, catching the ball 75 times each year in your first 6 years, and you're a running back.
That's nuts.
Right? Like, that's insane. And there's more guys on this list, though, because that would just be 4th all time. So you got to think of the other running backs that are on this list.
That are catching.
Yeah. That just goes to show that the running back position was obviously important, but last year it just kind of came out of the woodworks when it came to running the ball.
Yeah.
So they were more of like pass catchers coming out of the backfield, you know. Devon Achane, running back of the Dolphins. We do have a Dolphin on this list, by the way.
Shocking.
Yeah, right? If he gets a receiving touchdown, he would become the 4th player to score 5 rushing and 5 receiving touchdowns in 2 of his first 3 seasons. So, 4th player to score 5 rushing and 5 receiving touchdowns in 2 of his first 3 seasons. So that's what he's on this list for. It's kind of a common. It's kind of a
common-ish thing.
Yeah, kind of a commonish thing. But he's on the list, so you can't exclude him, even though it's the state of the Dolphins right now. I mean, we have a Browns player on here. We have Myles Garrett on here, and look at the Browns right now. So
fair.
Jamar Chase, he could become the 4th most receiving. Could become 4th for most receiving yards in his first 5 seasons with 91 yards receiving this week. So if Jamar Chase gets 91 yards receiving this week, he will become 4th all-time for receiving yards in their first 5 seasons. Now, Jerry Rice in his first 5 seasons had 6,346 yards, and the only other Justin Jefferson, he would surpass Jerry Rice, who has 6,346 yards in his first 5 seasons. And then the only names that he would have left, that Jamar Chase would have left to surpass, is Randy Moss, who has 6,743. So that one, I don't know, might be a little tough for him to surpass because he would need another, it might not be. He would need like 400 or 300 some odd yards. And he could probably do that in the next couple games. So he can end up surpassing Randy Moss. Torrey Holt, 6,784. And Justin Jefferson, who's a current player, 7,432. So Justin Jefferson is currently in the lead. And Jefferson's got a lot of years left. So him and Jamar Chase are kind of be chasing for that number 1 spot at this point. Last one, Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver of the Lions. He's 3 catches away from surpassing CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver of the Cowboys, who for second most catches in 5 seasons. CeeDee Lamb has had 496 catches in his first 5 seasons. The person that leads this is Michael Thomas, former wide receiver of the Saints, who had 510 catches in his first 5 seasons. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, 3 catches away from getting to the 497 mark. And then just think of that. I mean, 5'10", he'd be 14 catches away from surpassing Michael Thomas. He's going to do that this year, probably. But Jared Goff has to throw to him. I mean, we haven't really heard much of Amon-Ra St. Brown this year. So, we'll see what happens. Definitely see what happens. All right. Oh, excuse me. All right, Cam, the division leaders, let's talk about them. As of current, going into week 11, we got the Eagles, who are 7-2, leading the NFC East. The Seahawks, who lead the NFC West at 7-2. Lions lead the NFC North at 6-3. The Buccaneers, 6-3, leading the NFC South. We have the Patriots, who lead the AFC East at 9-2. The Broncos are 8-2, leading the West. The Steelers at 5-4 lead the North, and the Colts are 8-2, leading the South. Cam, if you had to pick one or maybe 2 teams that are on this list right now as division leaders, which ones surprise you the most being a division leader right now?
It would definitely have to be the Colts. I don't think anybody expected beginning of the season for Daniel Jones to just be completely playing like a completely different quarterback entirely that he did when he was out in New York. So shocking. I did not expect. If you had told me that, they'd be, what are they now? 8-2, whatever they are.
Yeah.
I probably would have laughed at you. And I did not see that coming at all. And then probably the Patriots. Again, that's another team that we heavily talked about. Didn't even really see much in this team. Didn't even really see them making the playoffs. And that seems to be a shoo-in now. Drake May is out there balling. I mean, just absolutely, proving the naysayers wrong. So them are the 2 teams that I really didn't see doing much this season, and they are definitely exceeding expectations.
The Seahawks surprised me. They definitely do. The Patriots are definitely surprised. The Colts are definitely surprised. Those are the 3 that surprised me. Those the Seahawks. I mean, you look at the NFC West right now and the state that the NFC West is in. You got the Rams, the 49ers, the Seahawks, and then you got the Cardinals, who are like way down here, trying to kind of, reach to the top, reach for the sky, little Mark Briscoe reference there. But the Seahawks being in first place, I don't think it lasts long. I don't. The 49ers right now, you got to think they go out and win games with backups. They're getting Brock Purdy back this week. Brandon Ayuk, we don't know when he's coming back. He hasn't even been announced to back to practice. I think Brandon Ayuk in 2025 is done. I mean, maybe we see him on the back more like week 16, 17, 18, maybe. I mean, they would have to start announcing him going back to practice this week in order to see him in week 15. because he would need that 21-day window like Joe Burrow is facing right now. Joe Burrow went back to practice the other day. He still got that 21-day window before he can even be activated to be back on the field playing in an actual game. So he would need to be announced this week going back to practice. And there is no sign or even whisper of a Brandon Ayuk coming back. But this team hasn't needed him. I mean, Juwan Jennings has stepped up. George Kittle is playing George Kittle football. Christian McCaffrey, he's on this milestone and record list every week. Every week we talk about Christian McCaffrey. So this 49ers team, even with the injuries they're dealing with on defense, much so like the Steelers, going out and winning ball games. So I don't think the Seahawks are on top of this list for long. I don't. And we're getting to that point of the year where teams are going to start fighting for that playoff position. I mean, I'll say this. I predicted the 49ers to be the third seed in the playoffs this year. My home field advantage team was the Packers. And that was back when I watched my video the other day. I predicted the Packers to be the home field advantage holders. Right now it's Philadelphia. They have the number 1 seed. Now, are the Packers far back from that? No. But the way the Packers have been playing lately, they're not showing home field advantage vibes. But you got the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Bucks and Lions are kind of sneaking around there. The 49ers, the Eagles are on top right now. A lot of teams vying for that position. And then over in the AFC side of things, I'll say this. I mean, the Steelers right now, they went out and beat the Colts a couple weeks ago. They just need to start winning games. Like, they need to get whatever was happening early in the season where they were going out and just taking care of business. These last 2 games that they've dropped, these last couple games they've dropped, they got to start picking things up. Because they literally have the potential to grab that number 1 spot in the playoffs. They just need to win. And they need the Colts to start losing. They need a lot of these teams to start losing, like the Patriots and the Broncos. And the Broncos, I see starting this week, man. I see the Broncos, that wall going up. I do. I see that starting this week to where the Broncos, I wouldn't say can start to fall, but their luck, I think, has run out. I think this is it. So we'll have to see. But that's the Week 11 division leaders going into the week. Let's get into the Week 11 schedule. Cam, we already had the Thursday night game. The Patriots defeated the Jets 27-24. Right now, the Commanders are defeating the Dolphins 13-6 mid-third quarter. That game that's going on in progress right now. So let's start running down the 1 o'clock set of games, starting with the Green Bay Packers heading out to New York to take on the Giants. Cam, what do you got on the Packers and Giants?
Like I said, there's an interesting element in the room with Jameis Winston starting over Russell Wilson today, with Jackson Dart hurt, still in concussion protocol after the last game they had against the Bears. I think this is a winnable game for the Giants. It realistically is. The Packers, I'm starting to see what you were saying weeks ago about the Packers. They're just not the same team at all after, that whole tie with the Cowboys. I keep mentioning that because that was the turning point for this team. They just have not been the same since. It's just like they lost their confidence or something. It was like an off switch was triggered, and they just have not really been consistent. Some games they look great. Some games they look like, okay, this is a team that could get home field advantage in the NFC. And then the next week they lose a game, and it's just like, what happened? So this is a winnable game for the Giants. I honestly think it'll be a close game though. I think the Giants have their work cut out for them for sure.
I mean, you never know. You never know what you're going to get. Like I said earlier, Jameis Winston like I said, I picked up the Packers defense for one main reason, and that is the fact that of Jameis Winston's history. He throws interceptions. And it's sad to see. I'm a fan of Jameis Winston. I am. I've been a fan of Jameis Winston the whole time he's been in the NFL. His journey. He seems like a really cool guy. I'd want to, hang out and have dinner with him or something. He's a cool guy, right? I'm serious. Good, But on the field, man, he's got to take care of the ball. and the interceptions just don't help him. He also throws touchdowns in over 400 yards game. He does. He has good games. I'm not taking that away from him. He does have good games. But it's just, I don't see him going out and leading the Giants to the win today. I don't think this Packers defense is going to be as advertised and shut this offense down. I do. There's too many injuries on that offensive side of the ball for the Giants. And Tyrone Tracy getting his job taken away. Now he's given back just because Scatterbo gets injured. Jameis Winston starting because they don't believe in Russell Wilson, and Jackson Dart sitting in concussion protocol. What wide receiver is the WR1 out there is the question. And you have main offensive linemen who are hurt. I think the Packers defense goes out and takes care of business today. I do. So we'll have to see, though. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe the Giants go out and kick the crap out of the Packers. Because the Packers, like I said, and you just mentioned it, after that Cowboys tie, man, something happened. And they are not the same team we've seen in the first 2-3 weeks of the season. Coming out and just dominating. Looking like a team that wanted to make a run early. So in an AFC South matchup, we got the Houston Texans heading out to Tennessee to take on the Titans. We've seen the Texans come back in the fourth quarter last week against the Jaguars. Do you think they're going to take control of this game against the Titans, Cam? What do you got on this one?
I think I got to go with the Titans. No, not the Titans. I got to go with the Texans. I mean, after that game against the Jaguars, that was impressive. I mean, they literally went like 26 unanswered points. For the Jags. The Jags went 26 unanswered points, I should say. And the Texans just came back and won that game. It's like the Jags just they thought they were in cruise control. They thought they had that game in the bag, and then they just allowed them to get back in the game. So very impressive. Very impressed by Davis Mills. So Titans, I don't know. Like again, when they got their first win of the season weeks ago, it looked like maybe they're going to get things back on track, at least salvage something of the season. And then they just continue their losing ways. So I would say this game is kind of the battle of which offense looks, which offensive line looks better, or I guess worse in this case. So I got to go with the Texans. I mean, I really don't know what the Titans have over the Texans in this game.
I see a lot of comments when we talk about the Titans. I see a lot of comments of, the Titans are regretting going and getting Cam Ward, Cam Ward getting called all these names like a bum and everything like that. Here's the thing is he's a rookie quarterback who doesn't have a crutch to even lean on with what's going on in Tennessee right now. I mean, Tennessee is in full rebuild mode, putting their whole roster basically on the trade block, minus 2 players, and Cam Ward being that one guy. And he's going and doing the interviews and saying, like, we want to win. We want to go take it, but we're just not working together. This team is not doing it. Something needs to change. To put your rookie quarterback and Cam Ward in front of the media, for him to fight your battles, basically, instead of going and doing it yourself as a GM or a coach. I mean, I know the coach goes out and talks, but even as a GM, to give an explanation on why this team isn't playing up to standards and putting your rookie quarterback in that position says a lot about that rookie quarterback who has next to no experience whatsoever on the NFL level. It's different when you're on the college level doing things like that. It is. Because you got to think of it. Every guy in college football, and this isn't a true statement, okay? Well, this could be a true statement if every player was up to those standards. But you got to think of it when you're playing college football. So most of those guys want to go into the NFL. It's just all about whether they're getting scouted or not. Because just like for college football, these guys get scouted by NFL scouts. So if a player is playing in college football and he's playing good and all that stuff, yeah, he may be playing good, but he's not getting scouted. So he's got to think of his next plan. Do I go and get a regular job? Do I go play in maybe the UFL, the Arena League? Well, the Arena League is not really around anymore. I mean, there's Arena Leagues out there in certain states and counties and cities and stuff. But the big arena league isn't around no more. I know they were trying to make a comeback, but it's just not happening. But it's still a point. Like, you got to be scouted. So if I was a Titans fan or even a fan of football, I wouldn't be throwing this on Cam Ward. And he's trying his best in these interviews. If he doesn't have the offensive line to protect him, or a wide receiver to throw to, or a running back to hand the ball off to, an offensive line to protect him, of course he's going to look bad. So you're going to call him a bum? Oh. I don't know, Cam.
Football fans for you.
Football fans, man. Got to love each other. We got an NFC South matchup out in Atlanta. The Carolina Panthers head out to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Cam, what do you got on the Panthers and Falcons?
This is tough. This one's probably the toughest game because the Panthers, they go out and lose to the Saints last week, which, I mean, that frustrated me because I thought that game, maybe that's ignorant on my part for thinking that game's in the bag, but I thought they could have won that game easily. So they just completely just fell apart in that game against the Saints. So now, once again, for I don't know how many weeks in a row, the Panthers are a mystery to me. I don't get that team. It's like they're picking things up. They look better than what they have in the past. Bryce Young looks a lot better than what he's looked in the past as well. But again, it's just like they can't get on a consistent roll and just leave the inconsistencies in the past and just start being a winning team for once. So I really don't know. I'm at a loss with the Panthers. The Falcons, I mean, they went to war with the Colts last week. That was an amazing game. Drake London, I mean, he had another amazing game. Michael Penix Jr. had a great game as well. Heartbreaking that they did not pull that out for the Falcons because they played so well. So this could be a battle. But I'm leaning more towards the Falcons. I think they're going to come out and just play pissed off for losing that game last week. So I'm more so leaning on Drake London and Michael Penix to just have a great game today.
I mean, if I was the Panthers, I'd be going into this game pissed off, not taking care of the business they should have taken care of in New Orleans last week.
True.
I'll say this right now. One thing I expect from this game today is the Panthers to have a good running day. The Falcons have a top 5 worst rushing defense. So Rico Dowdle should have a very good day today, pending on how his offensive line plays, and how blocking happens for him. He should have a really good day today. Look at Jonathan Taylor, who had over 250 rushing yards last week.
I was just going to say that.
Had 4 touchdowns? The guy went beast mode.
Yeah.
Beast mode.
I was just getting ready to say, like, you don't even need to tell me that the Falcons have a horrible rush defense just because of what Jonathan Taylor did to them.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about this beast mode.
I'm here so I won't get fined.
About he went beast mode Jonathan Taylor style on them. Like, Jonathan Taylor, I'm saying this right now, if he does not win MVP this year, then that voting, they need to decide who does the voting for MVP, because I get it. You got Daniel Jones in the running, you got Baker Mayfield in the running, but Jonathan Taylor is on a whole new level this year.
Yeah. Facts.
And it is nuts.
He's on his Barkley run.
You could say that. I can fairly, I can fairly agree to that. I can agree to that statement. I could, because Jonathan Taylor the past couple of years, it has not been too pleasant for him, and now this year he just insane. In an NFC North matchup, we got the Chicago Bears heading out to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Cam, what do you got on the Bears and the Vikings?
The Vikings, I like to call them. I like to call them the purple zombies, because they just keep finding new life every single week. no matter who's starting, it doesn't even matter. they every time they look dead in the water, they always find a way to win. But they have their hands full today with the Chicago Bears. This is probably the best Chicago Bears team I have seen in a long time. They refuse to give up. Caleb Williams is kind of playing similar to like Baker Mayfield. He just refuses to give up no matter how many points they're down. Fourth quarter, he's had a bunch of different fourth quarter comebacks, I think, this season, at least 3 or 4, to my knowledge. And like I said, he just keeps doing it, and he's getting so much better. It's like it's finally starting to really click in Chicago. And I think they keep things going. Right now, it's looking really good out of Chicago. So I'm giving the edge to the Bears. I think the Bears. I don't know if they have an easy win necessarily with the Vikings, but I don't think they should have too many issues here.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be an easy win against Minnesota, but I think the Bears can definitely go out and win this game today. I say it at the beginning of every season, a team can look good on paper all they want, but it's going to be about what they put on the field. And the Bears early on, it was like, okay, they looked good on paper, but it was like, man, like what does this team have to do to get over this hump to go out and win ball games? And it seems like they've figured it out a little bit. Now they got themselves in a position to where they could still win the NFC North. I mean, the Packers only lead by a half a game, or the Lions only lead by a half a game. They're not far behind. So, the Bears, the NFC North next to the NFC West is a very, very tough division. Very tough division. Every team is in the running right now. And it's very uncommon to see that. Very uncommon. I mean, there was a year where every team in the NFC West was. And at the beginning of the year, every team in the NFC West was. But this late into the season, where every team underneath the leader is only a half a game back, that's good football right there. That's a good division. And this should be an exciting game today out in Minnesota. Should be. The Los Angeles Chargers head out to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. We've seen the Jaguars completely fall on their face last week. The Chargers end up picking up the big win last week over the Steelers. What do you got on the Chargers and the Jaguars?
The Jags are another team that I can't figure out. They go out and they beat the Chiefs one week, and you think, oh man, this is a whole different dynamic. Something's different out there in Jacksonville. And then they kind of slowly start to fall apart in different weeks, and last week was evident that they just can't close out games. They get too comfortable thinking that they think they have the game in the bag, and then they just completely fall apart. So they are a mystery, I would say, in this game. Again, even in saying that, though, I mean they're playing against the Chargers last week, who beat the Steelers. They didn't really look all that dominant. It just a lot of that was just the Steelers just shooting themselves in the foot, their offense just being inadequate and just not connecting, not running like a well-oiled machine like it should. So with the Jags offense being, I would think a little bit better than Pittsburgh's offense right now. Like I said, the Jags should win this game. They just got to close it out. They cannot allow this offense for the Chargers to get back in the game and just win it. Come back in these fourth quarter comebacks. That's ultimately what's going to hurt them in this game. They just have to close out games.
I didn't get to turn on the Chargers-Steelers game until the second half last week because I was a little busy taking care of some business, had some stuff to take care of around the house here. So I really didn't get to watch until the second half of the Sunday night game. And I was keeping an eye on the score, and I had texted you and said, is this the Dodgers against the Pirates, or what is going on here? What's going on out there with this Chargers-Steelers game, man? And you were like, you just weren't happy about it. And I wouldn't be either. I wouldn't be either. If I was by any off chance missing any of an Eagles game and I seen that score, I would have been like, what the is going on? Like, is it the Phillies and whatever team in baseball in that city, or is this a football game? Like, what is happening here? One thing that I'll say right now is, and we're gonna definitely talk about the Steelers in a little bit because they do got a matchup with the Bengals this week that we'll talk about. But the Steelers offense, you know what? I'll save it for that. I'll wait until we get there. The Chargers, though, I think are in the same boat as the Steelers with their run game. I mean, their run game right now, I believe they're starting a third string running back at this point because their run game has completely disappeared. The Steelers aren't in that position. I mean, their running back position is completely healthy. And it disappeared last week. So I think that's one thing that might keep the Chargers from winning this game today is the run game being away. But if the Jaguars end up ahead, they got to keep their foot on the gas. That was the other thing that hurt them last week against the Texans. They just took their foot off the gas. They hit halftime, and they were like, whatever. We're leading. We might win this thing. And then Davis Mills comes out and 26 unanswered points, ends up winning the game. And he took it into his own hands. So we'll have to see. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers head out to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Some might say that this is a Super Bowl 60 matchup. Cam, what do you got on the Bucs and Bills?
I believe I was one of the people that said that too. Bucs Bills, I think. I think originally that's what I said, and I changed it to Eagles Bucs or something like that. But yeah, no. This is another game. This is another test for the Buccaneers, I would say, to see if they are see if they're battle tested. I guess the Bills right now, I feel bad for because they don't look like the Bills. I don't know what's wrong. They just don't look like the Bills. They start games. I notice this a lot, even in past seasons. They start games off really slow, and usually, well, I guess it doesn't really matter, but a lot of times their offense starts off really slow. You know, missing cues, fumbling the ball, throwing interceptions, like things you don't think they should be doing as good as the Bills usually are. And then, later in the, first quarter, first half, or whatever, they then start to get things back on track, and they eventually end up winning the game. I feel like it's starting to be their worst enemy this season. They start slow and they never pick up, but by the time they do pick up, it's too late. They're already down 2-3 scores, and the game is just out of their reach to try to come back and win the game. So that is definitely something that they need to stop doing because, again, this Bills team, as we know, and even in past seasons, are just good. They are a good Bills team, and they shouldn't be starting slow and having offensive issues early on in games. Buccaneers, I think, have cooled off with a few key losses here in the last couple of weeks. But if there was ever a game to make a statement, and if there was ever a game to get things back on track, it's this game against the Bills. And it's just going to put the Bills even further behind the Patriots, and the Patriots right now are just killing it. So
I think one thing that the Bills got away from last week was the run game. James Cook dealing with the ankle. You want to try and rely on your backup running backs as much as you can, but they're not going to do exactly what you expect from a guy like James Cook. So sitting back and thinking about what happened in Miami last week and looking at everything in perspective, they completely got away from the run game, which is one of their strongest suits. James Cook has had a week to get the ankle right. I expect the Bills to really, really put their foot on the gas in that run game today. And I think the Bills are going to go out and take care of business. I think they bounce back from last week. I do. And I think we're going to see a big day from James Cook. I do. I think we see a big day from James Cook. We see a big day from Josh Allen. And I think Keon Coleman or Khalil Shakir, the wide receivers, have a big day. So I know it's the Bucs. But the Bills, I think they go out and really, really put the hammer down today. Last game of the 1 o'clock set, we got the Cincinnati Bengals heading out to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers in an AFC North matchup. Cam, the Steelers, I think, really need this win. What do you got on the Bengals and Steelers?
I can't stress enough how much they need this win. Yes, they are in first of the AFC North, but I don't feel good about that because it is slowly but surely slipping out of their fingers. The Ravens are catching up. They are on a 3-game winning streak, and they look like they are starting to get things back on track. And that's they're doing it at the worst time possible, at the expense of the Steelers, because again we're getting into crunch time. We're going with, this is week 11, so this is the worst possible time for them to start getting things together. In saying that, like I said, it definitely is a must win. Again, with Joe Flacco versus Aaron Rodgers again, this could be another freaking shootout. 300, 400 plus yards from the two of them, 30, 35, 32. This could be that. I hope not, but it's very possible. Joe Flacco has been out there and just, shooting daggers ever since getting signed on with the Bengals. Steelers, I don't realistically know. I'm frustrated in many different areas, mainly with, I would say, the defense just has injuries. So I guess I'll give them somewhat of a pass. They're trying to piece things together. They're making some moves. They're picking up some free agents and things like that. So they're trying to piece things together because they're just so heavily, just beat up on defense. I mean, for God's sake, Miles Killebrew, who's never hurt, is out for the season. So that's insane. So yeah, they're just heavily beat up on defense. But I guess most of my frustrations is really just with the offense, because the offense is just, again, it's just so inadequate. One week though, they'll go out and beat the Colts, which I can't even be excited about anymore, because the Colts are 8-2, and it just, that week just looked like false hope. It just looked like a fluke win. If you go out and then you lose to a Chargers team who I don't even think is that good. They didn't play that well. Realistically, they didn't. The Steelers just played that much worse. So I don't really know what they're doing during practice or watching film or whatever, because they'll go out some weeks and just look like they're just unprepared. So that's very frightening. And I just wish and hope in this game they look prepared. They now know the threat after the first game that they've had with the Bengals early this year. They now know the threat of the Bengals. They are not to be taken lightly. Even given their record and given the injuries and all that, doesn't matter, because Joe Flacco is legitimately a threat. And if you take him lightly, he's going to throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. So he's going to have another, career day. So I hope that doesn't happen. Defense definitely needs to step up. Offense needs to be a lot better than what they have been in some of these games that they've dropped. So this is a must win today for the Steelers.
Like I said, Jaylen Warren, the number one running back in Pittsburgh right now, got completely taken away from him. I think that's another thing the Steelers need to concentrate on, is the run game, as well as the Bills. The two teams that I expect to pick up their run game this week, especially against that Cincinnati defense, who their run defense is not that good. The pass defense is okay. The run defense not good. So I think that they need to really get Jaylen Warren involved more this week to have a chance to go out and beat Cincinnati. Kev, if you look at it, the Colts go out and they lose. I mean, the Colts are on a bye week this week, okay? So the Steelers need to take advantage of today. They do. They need to be 6-4 going into next week. They'd be 2 games back from the Colts. The Colts go out and lose 2 games, and the Steelers go out and win 2. The Steelers are right back in it. That's all it takes. And you got to think, it's week 11. They could be back on top by week 13. They still have time. They just need to get their stuff together and start concentrating on the things that are going to help them win ball games, opposed to trying to do things that you're not normally seeing them do. I get it. Injuries happen, and teams are suffering from. Every team is suffering from injuries this year. It's rough. I mean, you look at it, and there's very few teams that are fully healthy. I mean, the Eagles are a healthy team. The Seahawks are a healthy team. There's a couple teams out there that are at the full strength health base wise, but all those teams are coming off their bye weeks being healthy. So the bye weeks are key for teams this year to get healthy. So I believe the Steelers, if I'm not mistaken, they've already had their bye week. Yeah. They had their bye week already.
A while ago.
Yeah. I think they had their bye week back in like 5 or 6. because we got 4 teams on bye week next week, week 13, no bye week, and then week 14 is the final week of bye weeks. So, early season bye weeks don't help as much. When you have to run the gauntlet at that point, but and trying to get healthy on the fly. But teams are taking advantage of that bye week. But I think the Steelers, they go out today and take care of business. They're right back in this thing. They're not too far back. They're not. So we'll have to see. Well, have to definitely see what happens out in Cincinnati today. So before we get into the 4 o'clock set of games, scoring update with about 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The score is 13-13 between the Commanders and Dolphins. So a little bit of a scoring update there for you. Dolphins just ended up scoring about 2 minutes ago. So we are tied between the Commanders and Dolphins. I mean, you look at the Commanders and Dolphins, Cam, they're both 3-7. I mean, they both need to win this game today to even stay afloat, stay involved in a playoff hunt. I mean, you can still make the playoffs at 10-7. At this point, both teams need to win out to even have a shot at getting that 7 seed.
Yeah.
But there's so many teams floating around that 7 seed right now. I mean, even the Browns are still considered for the 7 seed. And then they're the position they're in. So every team's alive until they get deemed eliminated. Let's get into the 4 o'clock set of games in an NFC West matchup. We got the 49ers heading out to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. The 49ers getting Brock Purdy back today. So it looks like they're starting to get back to full force, slowly but surely. What do you got on the 49ers and Cardinals?
I don't really know what factor Brock Purdy is going to play in coming back for the Niners. I mean, the one game that he did, because he's dealt with a few injuries this season. So the one game that he did come back for when he was coming back off injury weeks ago, it wasn't necessarily the best game for him. And I guess that's kind of concerning because right now, Mac Jones has just been doing it. I mean, he's looking like a baller right now, stepping in for Brock Purdy. So that may affect him. It may just kind of throw off their chemistry or just kind of put them out of sync. Kind of going back and forth through, Mac Jones and Brock Purdy at starting quarterback. So we'll definitely have to see there and see how that really affects their offense. And then the Cardinals, I said this before, I like Jacoby Brissett at starter for, the Cardinals. I would say that will be the decision moving forward. If they decide to move on from Kyler Murray, which is probably looking like they might. Right now, they definitely are struggling as well. They didn't look too hot against the Seahawks last week. So I'm looking at the 49ers. I think the 49ers go out there and they get it done today.
All right. In another NFC West matchup, we got the Seattle Seahawks heading out to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. Cam, what do you got on the Seahawks and Rams?
These are two teams that look really, really good. Matthew Stafford is in the running for MVP as well. He's honestly been playing some of his best football, I think, in a while. So he's been playing really well. And so has Sam Darnold. Again, as you said earlier about these division leaders and, the shockers of who's leading their divisions right now. And the Seahawks are definitely a surprise, and Sam Darnold is a surprise as well. I thought maybe we had seen all that, Sam Darnold had to offer. We've seen everything in his bag of tricks after leaving Minnesota, but apparently not, because he's playing some of his best ball as well. So this honestly could be another shootout. So I'm gonna take the Seahawks, I guess, but this really could go either way because both these teams are really good right now.
Yeah, I think this one definitely does go either way as well. I mean, both teams are playing very well. Sam Darnold, I mean, when he got signed to the Seahawks, I said it when he left Minnesota. If he gets signed somewhere else, he's not going to get a big contract because he had a little bit of time in San Francisco to prove himself, had the whole season last year to prove himself out in Minnesota, which he did. And it's now going into a new system in Seattle to where it was really going to be battle tested. And so far, he's keeping afloat. We still have a couple weeks left. Anything can happen. But right now, he's really he's showing that the Minnesota thing wasn't just a fluke. So
yeah.
See what today brings and see what the rest of the season brings for Sam Darnold and the Seahawks. We're going to switch sides to the AFC West side of things. We got the Kansas City Chiefs heading out to the Denver to take on the Broncos. The Broncos couple comeback games this year, but I don't know about you, Cam. I think their luck runs out today against Kansas City. What do you got on the Chiefs and the Broncos?
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, that wall we keep talking about, I think starts with the Kansas City Chiefs. Broncos schedule definitely gets a lot worse after this week, so it's going to be tough for them. And again, if they really want to prove themselves, again, they have to beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs are not out of it quite yet. They definitely have struggled this year, but they have shown up in big games against bigger opponents. So I think the Chiefs go out there and get it done today.
In an AFC North matchup, we got the Baltimore Ravens heading out to Cleveland to take on the Browns. The Ravens on a little bit of a winning streak, trying to get to the top of the AFC North. Meanwhile, the Browns are just hanging on. What do you got on the Ravens and the Browns?
I think the Ravens go out there and take care of business, honestly. They're on a run right now, and I just don't really see them losing to the Browns. The Browns are still trying to figure out what they're really doing at quarterback. I still don't think Dylan Gabriel is the guy. I mean, he's not bad. He's probably the best option right now. Given I don't know what they're doing with Shedeur Sanders, probably nothing. I don't see him seeing the field this season, but I just don't think he's the guy. He's just, I don't know. There's something that's just not really clicking at the quarterback position right now. So we'll definitely have to see there. But the Ravens are on a run. I expect them to go 5-5 and see what they can do from there.
That could be a key thing out in Cleveland too, is the quarterback position. I mean, it's a key thing everywhere. We know that. That's the key position everywhere. That's the leader on the field, all that stuff. But out in Cleveland, it's a different type of key thing, because Dylan Gabriel, who goes out and he plays safe ball, he does. He plays complete safe ball, doesn't take chances, misses. You see it. He misses assignments sometimes. You would think that Cleveland at this point would sit there and say, we got to start taking some chances here. If he's not going to do it, let's get Shedeur on the field. Yeah. And I said it. I think we see Shedeur on the field by week 14. I think we do. I mean, if Dylan Gabriel is not going to take the chances that you need him to take while you're still clamping on to trying to make a playoff, which at this point for the Browns is probably not going to happen. But right now you're just hanging on. Start taking chances. Maybe you'll go out and win some ball games. And this is a big ball game. I mean, you go out and take your chances and beat the Ravens. I mean, if you go out and take your chances and beat the Ravens, you can go out and take chances and probably beat anybody. Anybody. Now, would they end up facing some stronger teams? Yeah, there's going to be some teams that will go in and probably, take care of the business they got to take care of, but take some chances, man. That's what they got to do. Yeah. Sunday Night Football, the Detroit Lions head out to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Cam, do you think this is a preview of the NFC Championship game, or maybe even just an NFC playoff game? What do you got on the Lions and Eagles?
I could possibly see it being the NFC Championship game. It's very possible. It's just all about it relies on the strength of the Lions, honestly. Last 2 seasons they have, and there's no nice way of saying it, they just have dropped the ball easily. I mean, last year I get it, they had a lot of injuries, but that played a part in them getting beat by the new upstarts, the out of the blue Commanders. So they have definitely dropped the ball the last 2 seasons, so we'll definitely have to see there. But it definitely could be a playoff game, more than likely, over an NFC Championship game. But in terms of this game, prime time, I mean, this could be a very good game. I'm expecting it to be a very good game. Again, the Lions, I love watching the Lions run game. Again, they just have the best 1-2 punch with Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. They do. No Laporta, which again could hurt them in their offense, because that's he's one of their, I would say, get out of jail free card kind of guys downfield. So that honestly could hurt them. We'll definitely have to see there. And then the Eagles, like I said, they've been getting things together. They were in a weird one last week. It was a very low scoring game. But it was a heavily defensive battle, and I think that was the kind of the precursor for this game, because it's going to be about stopping the run game for them. Because I think once you stop the run game or against the Lions, they kind of panic and they want to start throwing more. So I could honestly see that happening if the Eagles' defense is just too much for the Lions. It's going to force Jared Goff to throw more. So I could definitely see that. To who I'm giving the edge to, I really don't know. Again, this could be a shootout. This could go either way. This could be another low-scoring game too, being a defensive battle as well. I guess I'm going to give the slight edge to the Eagles. I think they know what they need to do and get the job done.
There were some comments that were made on a live stream this week with AJ Brown, and we're going to talk about this. We got to for a second. AJ Brown went on a live stream this week and said about, hey, if you have me on a fantasy team, just drop me, trade me. It's a shit show here in Philadelphia. And then he was asked about his comments. I'm going to say this right now. I think it was a mirror. I think it was a wall to put up to confuse people. I think AJ Brown has a big game tonight. I think we see a breakout of AJ Brown tonight. Now I get it. Yeah, the Lions, if their run game gets shut down, which Philadelphia has the capabilities of doing with their front four and their linebacking core, they get the Lions decide to go to the air. You got Quinyon Mitchell back there, Reed Blankenship, Cooper DeJean, the addition of Jair Alexander. I mean, this Eagles team looks complete.
I didn't even know that. They have Jair Alexander now?
Yeah,
I didn't even know that.
They traded for him 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, got him from Baltimore. Yep. So this Eagles team looks complete. Now it's all about putting it on the field. Last week was a defensive battle against Green Bay. It was. That field was a mess, too. It was for both teams. I mean, both teams, the guys were just slipping all over the place. So anything could have happened on that Monday nighter. It could have. That was any team's game to take. Philadelphia just went the extra mile with throwing that bomb down to Devontae Smith to get them the win. But the field was a mess. It's cold in Pennsylvania. It's a little wet because it rained last night. Now, I don't know what happened down south because I'm about an hour and 15 minutes from Philly. So I don't know what happened in Philly last night. Don't know how the ground is. It's a little windy, so kicking's going to be a little hard to do. But I think Philadelphia, I think A.J. Brown in particular, has a breakout game tonight. I do. So I think Philly goes out and takes care of business tonight. I do. Monday Night Football, Dallas Cowboys head out to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Cam, what do you got on the Cowboys-Raiders on Monday night?
I think the most hilarious thing would be if the Raiders just blew out the Cowboys. Because this is a team that it just has not been clicking all year. And you go out, and the one blowout win you do have of the year is blowing out the Cowboys. I don't know. With the Raiders, it's a pretty muddy situation right now. The Cowboys, the one thing I think I would say the one thing they really had going for them that was really good was Dak Prescott. I mean, Dak Prescott was incredible, I would say, for the first couple of games this season. Even not winning games. I mean, you look at his stats. I don't think he threw an interception at all those first couple of games. And that has recently come crashing back down to what we know now. So I don't even know if they have that anymore. So I want to say the Raiders have the best chance to beat a rough-looking Cowboys. And that should be their Super Bowl / feel-good win of the season. That should be their one thing they should really be able to hang their hats on in beating the Cowboys tonight or tomorrow night. So I'm giving the slight edge to the Raiders. I realistically think, and especially that Cowboys defense. The Cowboys defense is absolutely awful. So I don't think they should have a problem with the Cowboys, honestly.
There's a little corner of my heart. It's deep down there, the bottom end where it's a little divot like you might see just like a little like speck. Like if you took a pen and you took a piece of paper and just did this, and it was just like you can't even really see it, right? That feels bad for the Cowboys because you go out and try and improve yourself by making these trades during the trade deadline, and you still can't go out and do what you need to do. Jerry Jones is the problem.
Yes.
Jerry Jones is the freaking problem out in Dallas, and his son needs to take over.
Yes.
And that's that. The era of Jerry is over, and it's now should be the era of his son. I forget his son's name. I really care less, but I'm with you. I think the Raiders might have the slight edge on this one this week. They might. Did I pick them? No, I didn't. I took the Cowboys. I took the safe route with the pick challenge, but do I want the Raiders and pick the Raiders to win? Yeah, I do. I do. That's all we got for week 11 of the NFL. Cam, as far as the pick challenge, real quick, it is updated. If I can find it, or did I delete it? No, I didn't. Here we go. So I am 92-59 going into this week. John is 97-54, 5 games ahead. Nothing changed from last week. College football, I am 9-3 after yesterday. John is 11-1 in the college football pick. So that is the pick challenge for this week. As far as differentials, me and John, the differentials we had was the Panthers and Falcons. I took the Panthers. He took the Falcons. He took the Bucks. I took the Bills. He took the Chiefs. I took the Broncos. So, and I think we had 4. No. Panthers, Falcons, Bills, Bucks, Broncos, Chiefs, and that's it. So we had 3 differentials. So I have the opportunity to gain 3 games this week. Hopefully. We'll have to see. So, but with that being said, Cam, your socials are going to be on the bottom. What do you want to let the people know?
Well, like I said, keep up with me on Cam's Wrestling Corner on TikTok. I post wrestling videos, news, and all that jazz, and just, in general, my wrestling opinions. I'll keep up with those videos. Don't forget to like and follow for more content if you like my content over there. And then, of course, as far as the networks, right here on the Huddle Hub podcast every single Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. with me and Metalcore Mike talking about some college football and, of course, the NFL. And then on River City Radio Network on Monday nights with me and Metalcore Mike again, talking about some Monday Night Raw after Monday Night Raw on the table spot. And then again on Wednesday with the addition of Phil Kahn and, of course, Metalcore Mike talking about AEW Dynamite after AEW Dynamite on the Boom. So stay tuned for all of that content. And, of course, as I mentioned before, my personal content as well. Love and appreciate all you guys come by and checking us out this morning.
All right, so make sure you're heading over to Cam's social medias. Make sure you're checking out everything he is doing, or especially over at Cam's Wrestling Corner. Great videos. I'm not just saying that because this man is digitally sitting next to me, but great videos. Go check them out and follow. I promise. You won't be disappointed. Metal Mike 714 is where you can find me. Instagram, X, TikTok, Snapchat. That's where you can find me. I don't do much personal content. I will be going live more on TikTok as far as gaming. I just got a few things I got to get situated, and then hopefully by Tuesday night, start doing more lives on the TikTok for gaming and everything like that. But other than that, I really don't post too much personally on my content or post too much personal content on my pages. Most of my content is done here on the shows every Sunday with Cam here on the Huddle Podcast starting at 10:30 and then 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with John here on the Tuesday edition of the Huddle Podcast, like Cam said, over on River City Radio and Off the Top Media with the Boom on Wednesday, the Table Spot on Monday. So make sure you're checking that out as well. Good luck to everybody's teams this week. Before we get out of here, make sure you're heading over to all the Huddle Hub Podcast social medias over on X, TikTok, and YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod, on the Twitch channel at the Huddle Hub Podcast. Please help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast going through the 2025 season beyond. It would definitely be appreciated. You guys have a great Sunday. Enjoy your games. Good luck to your teams. Be good to each other. Be kind to each other. Take care of each other. Be patient with each other. Remember, the world ain't moving as fast as you think. Until next time, we'll see you Tuesday night. Deuces.